And hello. Welcome everyone to this exciting webinar. Today we have two experts to cover the topic of how global go-to-market and MarTech, which is marketing technology, aligns with New Zealand's tech-driven innovation. I'm Santosh, your moderator for today. I bring over 20 years of global and local leadership experience in technology consulting and program project management. Throughout my career, I have had the opportunity to deliver complex initiatives across ERP, SaaS, and data intelligence platforms. My journey has taken me through leadership roles in global corporations while living and working in USA, UK, Europe, and now New Zealand. So this has given me a well-rounded perspective on both international and local delivery excellence. So today I'm thrilled to guide this conversation connecting global go-to-market momentum and New Zealand's tech innovation. So with this, I welcome Robert and Abhijit for our today's webinar, and I request them to do the self-introduction. Start with Robert.
Everyone. Thank you, Santosh. My name's Robert Lilly. I'm the founder and director of Friday Solutions. We're primarily an Oracle partner, but I guess we've had almost 15 years experience of implementing complex go-to-market architectures and integrating systems so that customer data flows from inquiry through to purchase, through to product distribution. Off the back of that, we have an analytics practice and a development practice as well. And most of our clients are significant organizations who sell nationally and internationally. And I guess that gives us a view of the technology architecture and the operating models that are necessary to achieve effective outcomes, to reduce cost to serve, and to speed up time to market and customer outcomes. It's Friday Solutions. That's myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Abhijit.
Hello, everyone. This is Abhijit, and I specialize in driving go-to-market strategies for clients across the globe by leveraging digital technologies, AI, automation, etc. Helped over 300 brands across industries, predominantly in the US market. Worked for a few large multinational companies like Accenture, Capgemini, etc. before starting and founding Targetorate Consulting, which is based out of US and India, and is now in ANZ market as well, with Santosh out there. Very excited to be here today along with Robert and Santosh, and look forward to exchanging some very interesting experiences and perspectives as we progress through this webinar today.
Thank you, gents. This is fantastic. And thanks for the audience also to joining us today. I request audience to use the question and answer panels for questions, and we will cover them towards the end of the webinar. Thank you. All right. So let's start. The first topic, Abhijit, maybe to start with you. So we see globally GTM, which is go-to-market, is evolving amazingly fast. As a global marketeer, what major shifts have you seen in GTM strategies post 2024?
Yeah. I think, as we can probably expect, the biggest shift that we are seeing is in the adoption of AI. I think MarTech is one of those domains that's experiencing the highest degree of disruption caused by AI. And the impact is seen everywhere. It's seen all across the functions, but it's market research, content development, consumer behavioral analysis, the buyer intent signals, data-driven decision-making, and so on and so forth. And I believe all this is happening for all good reasons. This is empowering the marketers to improve their ability significantly towards targeting, personalization, customer experiences, and actually generate more ROI from the marketing initiatives. We are still at a relatively early stage. There's far more to go from where we stand today. I think miles to go before it's going to settle down. So we are going to see a lot more in this space.
That's interesting. Following on what you say, specifically with the shift in adoption of AI, which is in fact creating a huge impact in the market and enabling clients to generate more ROI. That's very interesting. So with such rapidly shifting market, what's your view, Abhijit, on pain versus upside of scaling GTM? After all, everything comes with a cost. So is it really worth the efforts, and where did this stop? I'm wondering.
Yes, I think you rightly touched the point. It's always a trade-off. See, in today's competitive world, marketing efficiency is driven by precision and scale. So it's precision at scale, in right words, and this demands a balance to be striked. Now, what I mean by that is follows. See, as a marketer, you can be very precise in terms of how you are targeting, but if you are running most of your operations manually, then there is a chance that you might be too slow for the challenging time to market needs. On the other extreme, if we start automating at scale and we start running volumes and are too generic with our one approach fit all sort of strategy, then a lot of those marketing efforts can go futile. So that's where you got to strike that balance between precision and scale, and value versus volume. So how do you really strike that? What I experience organizations doing is investing heavily into customer journeys and marketing interventions for both. One is highly focused account-based marketing kind of initiatives which are centered around their key business accounts, and on the other side, a little more generic ICP, which is ideal customer profile based outreach and demand generation initiatives, which are to an extent going to hit the scale. So that's where you strike the balance between the two. The other factor which greatly influences the return on investment on marketing is the technology and the tools that you deploy, whether they are your CRMs or marketing automation systems or sales intelligence systems, etc. And at the same time, how do you build the maturity within an organization to be able to effectively utilize those tools? So it comes back to the same three things that we have been historically speaking: people, process, and technology, which got to be aligned to be able to make make marketing more effective.
Very nice. I mean, this is very well said. In terms of balancing between speed versus precision, value versus volume, and account-based marketing. I think these are very key terms. So therefore, Abhijit, can you please share with all these inputs how the global case is going to evolve, where marketing technology fueled scale and growth will be visible.
Yeah. Well, every customer has a story. We have been serving quite a few clients, but in this context, right? I'll speak about one of the US based SaaS companies, software as a service provider, tech company, and how we began engagement with them. And this could be a typical representation of how it goes for a potential customer who is looking at making the marketing processes more effective. So we looked at their existing marketing landscape. We looked at the competitive scenario. We looked at how the competitors are acting in the market. What sort of technology investments have they done internally to drive the sales and marketing efficiency? Obviously, there were some gaps. That's the reason we were engaged, and we fixed those. Those were sort of quick wins, which was the easier part. The real challenge was that how do we take the marketing maturity of this client to the next level, where marketing starts fueling the growth and starts complementing the sales efforts in the company, more effectively. So there are a few things that we did. One thing is that we looked at the tasks that can be automated. Those tasks where it could be email outreach, it could be responses or mobile-based notifications, or some of the campaigns which could be leveraged, using programmatic techniques, etc. Second is how do we improve the efficiency of marketing? And that was the more trickier part, because that's where you got to understand your audience, collect your first party data, look at what you can do with the second and third party data. How do you get those intent signals from the buyers, which give you an indication that, okay, there is something, this particular audience requires a different treatment from a marketing perspective. I think that exercise helped us drive the growth in terms of both driving revenue as well as reducing the cost of acquisition of client. Because what happens as a result of this is that sales team, which is sort of on ground function, can focus on more qualified and large businesses, whereas rest of the larger market can be addressed by something like a digital sales extension function of marketing. So this collaboration between sales and marketing and the right tools introduction into the marketing ecosystem really helped us drive very effective results within 6 to 9 months of engagement for this client.
These are some of the remarkably interesting global insights, Abhijit. And this takes us to the next topic of New Zealand technology advantage and its local and global relevance. So coming to you, Robert, what's your take on how New Zealand's digital infrastructure, cloud, AI, data governance, sovereignties, all of these are shaping up now in the current scenario?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Abhijit. Well, New Zealand isn't a large country, but what we certainly see is phenomenal presence of global vendors. So, which gives any organization in New Zealand access to some of the leading technologies, cloud-based technologies as well, and obviously within that, AI is very deeply embedded in many of the analytics tools that are so readily available as well. So I think New Zealand is extremely well positioned to leverage that technology pool, and obviously at the same time, as a country, it's a very attractive place to live, and therefore we attract some really smart, really talented people from all over the world, which you actually need those great people to use the tools in order to create the systems, in order to manage the data, and so on and so forth. And I think it really puts New Zealand in a great position. I liked that you talked about governance and sovereignty. Data maturity as a domain, as a subject, is growing. People like Abhijit are great at creating the content, at gathering the content. Once you have it, it needs to be managed. It's a very valuable asset, and also has a set of compliance obligations as well. Different parts of the world kind of treat data differently, marketing data differently, client data differently. And it certainly is necessary to understand that when dealing with international clients, or if you're going to present a sales proposition globally as well. And I think kind of the combination of New Zealand-based infrastructure, tools readily available that use AI, a recognition of the value and compliance obligations of data, really means that New Zealand can produce some phenomenal world-class solutions, and can take those solutions online, digitally, to the world as well.
See, can't agree more. Having worked globally, and when I see New Zealand, you're right. A lot of big organizations, big tech companies, as Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all of them invest quite heavily. Looking at the size of New Zealand, right? And New Zealand is aptly attracting smart people to come to New Zealand and work. I think that's fantastic. So this is very, very interesting. So Robert, taking this a bit further, how is this looking for our local and global opportunities, leveraging all that interesting technology we have, people we have. So what's your perspective about it, and how do you take it for the local and global opportunities?
Yeah, I think there's there's two elements to that. Certainly, New Zealand's always been an early adopter, and we're extremely proud to have organisations like Serco and Xero who use technology platforms to deliver outcomes and sell globally, which is phenomenal. At the same time, obviously, people process technology gives us the ability, with smart people and great tools, to actually build solutions that scale very well, that help to deliver outcomes, that help to reduce the cost to serve or increase the rate of interaction with clients. It certainly is a domain that New Zealand has delivered very well in, and certainly we see a number of our clients who are New Zealand based but work nationally or regionally, leveraging digital presence in order to have a great outcome. And for our point of view, we're extremely proud to get involved in some of those activities as well. So I think it's a very positive environment that we have in New Zealand.
That's awesome. I mean, the best part, what I'm hearing is about the reduced cost to serve. So is this encouraging a kind of global firms adopting some of our local models? Is New Zealand, do you see New Zealand firms adopting some of these global models as well, which helps both local market as well as global market?
Yeah, very much so. We're fortunate that New Zealand, as a stable economy, attracts most global organizations have a presence here. Whether it's telecommunications, insurance, banking. So the culture is attractive, the market is attractive, and having access to technology also helps with not only sales prospect acquisition, but also with kind of the full supply chain of getting the order, enabling, delivering supply chain operations, and integrating all of those things together as well. And I think the reverse is also true, which is a lot of organizations see that they can sell worldwide or regionally from New Zealand. And so our being first in the world to see the sun, and having access to technology obviously allows us to look at a much bigger market than purely within New Zealand as well. Very interesting indeed.
Fantastic. I think that's very, very interesting to note that, New Zealand, which is early riser globally, can actually look at the global market with all the ecosystem available in New Zealand. So yeah, and I think this brings to the next topic of synergy, the global market, which is GTM, IT service alignment. So I think that's been very insightful, Robert, and I just trying to allude to our next topic on synergy of aligning global or global go to market and IT services. So if you look at GTM and IT services, these are two distinct poles, right, which drive the global companies. For example, IT systems, they enable our every aspect of life, whether you're banking, go to retail, go to utilities. So IT is enabling all of this. Whereas GTM, it's helping the IT tech companies scale and go global. So, Robert, from your years of experience, what tech stack should support such global initiatives, to be driven from the local companies?
I think people forget actually technology is an enabling tool, and people get quite distracted by the technology. As a tool, always look at fit for purpose. Certainly the cloud, increasingly we're seeing a cloud first strategy for many technology platforms. It allows people to try quickly, and to be very flexible in fine tuning those solutions as well. And the cloud obviously allows the integration of the go-to-market technology with procurement systems, with supply chain systems as well. And that integration is a great opportunity for organizations to put in some really good operating models and to be very flexible in how they work. And we're seeing much greater adoption of cloud-based technologies and multi-cloud-based technologies as well. So I think taking time to plan, but equally jumping in and doing something. There's a phrase around, it's better to do something than to sit and wait for a perfect solution. It's better to be acting and interacting with customers and tune that. And certainly cloud architectures enable that.
Exactly. I think that's very apt, That's what we hear, fail fast, then wait for the perfect system. And then
Yes.
it resonates very well, with the cloud first. I think that's awesome. So Robert, how to enable building agile, scalable systems for a regional flexibility in terms of the offerings?
Yes. Certainly, because of the breadth of skills that it's available, a lot of organizations can employ people themselves. Equally, there's a huge pool of independent contractors as well as consultancies and service providers. And that really gives the ability to move very, very quickly and adopt different technologies as the organization grows and scales, which is great. Certainly, it also, having an online presence also allows you to be kind of geographically independent. Just because you're based in New Zealand doesn't mean you can't look after customers across the Asia Pacific. I think that should be really taken as a huge opportunity for many organizations. The chance to not only sell here in New Zealand or even just New Zealand and Australia, but to spread much further afield. And digital technology is a great enabler of that kind of global presence and global delivery.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's very well said. In fact, taking care of the clients, not only in New Zealand, but outside
Yes.
Australia, APAC region. And I think that's very well said. And I think that and the digital technology. So I think this brings us to you, Abhijit, in terms of how these synergies we are discussing about IT tech and the marketing tech, right? So marketing technology has become a huge space now, right? From small organizations to enterprises. We see a lot of AI-enabled tools. That's the vibe in the market now. So how does enterprises with huge IT operations integrate with the new generation marketing technology applications, Abhijit?
Yes, I'll come to that in a moment, Santosh. Back to the topic on New Zealand. I can see New Zealand lovers in this room, and I would also join them for the reason that through my most recent visit out there, I can say that this is definitely one of the best places to live. And I think in this changing landscape in the world, right, where you live, where for whom you work, and to which market you serve, can be all three different continents altogether in the world, and then geographical proximity definitely helps. So in today's competitive landscape, there are large multinational companies who have global products, solutions, services, etc. They serve global markets, which means they also serve different countries. And then there are local players which are very regional focused, who are culturally more aligned, who can actually be more innovative. They can be more experimental. They have better sense of adaptability because they are smaller and newer, etc. Who can, in today's world, actually give a tough competition to the incumbents as well. So for all that we know, your competition in a local market could be somebody who is probably geographically located 10,000 miles away. Now that's the reality of the world that we are living in. IT systems, as Robert also mentioned, are pretty global. So there are systems which can be extended to serve the needs of a local market, but marketing is always a hyper focused, a local market sensitive function. Even if the products and services are same, the positioning, the messaging, the packaging, the pricing, everything changes for the given market that you operate in. So that's where technology tools play a vital role in first extending the existing landscape and then getting you the market specific intelligence, be it sales intelligence or be it social listening, what's happening, what is trending, and also get you the right uh, data insights based on consumer analysis, give you the ROI by the different channels that you are investing into. So what's very important is that how your organization introduces these systems which can add this additional value over the tech landscape that you have. Most of these new systems, which are new age products and systems, are 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 built using open standards. They are pre-integrated. They have pre-integrated frameworks. Now, what you got to do as an organization is integrate these systems with your existing tech landscape, define the end-to-end marketing process workflows over that. And very importantly, and again, as Robert touched base, the data is a central piece of all of this. Make sure that you have a single truth of data out there in your organization, data which is very critical to you, and derive the ability to get the right insights for the campaigns and help you in decision making. Now, this requires both the technology ability from the marketing team standpoint to be able to get the systems into place, identify the gaps as well as the overlaps between what the systems offer, reduce the biases from these products because every product comes with its own bias, and then upskill your team or the agency which is working with you to be able to implement, integrate, and most importantly, leverage these systems to the benefit from a marketing standpoint.
Agreed. And marketing is, as rightly said, is very much aligned to the local needs, and technology tools actually enable all of this. And of course, it's all centered around data for insights. And obviously, I think quite a few of these will allude to the GDPR kind of laws, right? When the data is a concern, actually. So in such an environment, which is pretty much focused on data and related aspects. So Abhijit, how does the cross-border collaboration between IT and marketing and its tools actually work? How do they synergize? How do they resonate each other?
Yes, I think with so much of aggressive marketing activities happening in the market, I think data privacy considerations are increasing, and there are more and more sensitivities being brought about that. To be honest, there are more brains working on driving business outcomes. That's why there's always a catch up that this the law enforcement and the data privacy, data security, the data governance stuff is trying to protect the interest of the consumer and the other authorities. There are some best practices that we have in marketing which can allow people from different regions also leverage the data by sensitizing and making those sensitive pieces of data anonymous, so we could still be able to perform the marketing operations without compromising on the security of this data. With AI coming in, the challenges have, I guess, complicated further. There are elements not just of privacy and security, but there are ethical dilemmas, and then the data is going through more and more scrutiny. So I think this also increases the need for first party data to be built by the customers, in the sense that there will, as we progress, we are going to see more and more restrictions coming in terms of how much data can you use to a personalized level and how you can use it to target from a marketing standpoint. So I think building your own data is going to be a central piece towards it, because that is more of an opt-in data. That's more of a data which has been sort of certified, and that data allows you to really retarget your customers. And this is something which just can't be bought. This is not a third party data or a second party data as well. This is first party data. So you got to start investing into your marketing initiatives which which promote to customer, which sort of integrate with customers' needs, and then put the right call to actions that allow you to be able to solicit a response from client in one way or another, which allows you to retarget them based on their interest and based on their needs, the right data, the right products and services that you would like to position to them. So I think we are going to see far more on the ethical side and the sensitivities of the data, and there are marketing best practices also evolving at the same pace to protect you and your customers from misuse of that personal data of the customers.
Fantastic. I think, with all these best practices in marketing, data, technology, I think we are now coming to a point of how the strategy of technology and marketing, strategy, technology, marketing, how can we bring all these three together? So, Abhijit, I believe our friends in New Zealand are working on such projects, isn't it? So, yeah. So,
Yeah. So, Santosh, I mean, if I were to just turn the table back to you a little bit, because you have worked and lived in different countries, served different organizations, worked with organizations of different size and scale, and now you make New Zealand as your home. So, what's your experience on the global versus the local landscape, and how the industry is evolving in today's context of whether it's cloud native apps or SaaS or customer experience focused organizations? How do you see this trend evolving?
yeah, very, very interesting indeed, and just to bring the common thread of people, process, and technology, I'm a strong believer of that. So there are a few points which I think I'll quickly bring up here. First, the foremost is the startup-driven talent development. I see New Zealand's vibrant SaaS ecosystem, and with the product companies, as Robert mentioned, like the worlds of Zeros and Circos. See, they have cultivated talent in product and design-led growth. Uh, and to your point, Abhijit, the cloud native architecture, cloud native engineering, and scalable customer operations, because from New Zealand, we can actually support customers globally. So that's the point number one. Point number two, taking it further on the cloud native engineering strength. What I observe is more of New Zealand engineers, especially the new breeds, they are specializing in AWS, Azure, GCP cloud. So cloud first is, being adopted by the talent here as well. So which actually is not only for infrastructure management, they are also in designing of resilience, cost efficiency, and global compliance. So what happens is with this, it takes them to the customer experience and GTM integration as well. So what I have seen is quite a many Kiwi tech professionals are deeply involved in both customer experience and as well as go-to-market execution. So they often wear dual hats, and the team size are lean over here, which actually gives them practical edge in the market as such. So the last point which brings with all this is, the capabilities, and these capabilities are exportable in my opinion, because this talent what we have here is just not for serving the local needs. It is increasingly exportable. So we see New Zealand-based teams actually support global products. They are pretty actively involved in test automation, performance testing, and more so, in the emerging technology business sectors like fintech, edutech, health tech, and so on. So that's my perspective, yes, right? So that's pretty interesting. So if I may, with that, come to you, Robert, about your experience of aligning these synergies in global and local ecosystems. I know Friday Solutions has really done great work, and you have been driving this for both local and global, clients. So, what's your experience in such alignment of synergies?
Yeah, we're seeing a stronger alliance actually, which is quite interesting. Certainly a much greater understanding of the value and cost of data, and the integration of AI much more commonly occurring. We're slowly seeing, I think, within public sector, which kind of is relevant. It's probably a slightly different domain to the target audience of this conversation. but I guess certainly public sector, there's a lot of caution around AI. Certainly in social services, AI is not allowed into some areas because public policy dictates that an individual needs to have made a decision, and certainly if that impacts a beneficiary or someone that has a dependency. Now, I guess the principle there is actually that government policy and therefore state policy is starting to recognize the potential impact of AI and the need to manage that. And I think over time, we will see a lot more of that starting to have influence on how AI is used and how AI is used to collect data. And especially when you consider, there is already kind of direct marketing legislation. I guess as AI gets more ingrained and data becomes much more readily available, then I think some policy will start to be seeing much more. And I guess within that, penalties and costs. Non-compliance is often a very, very expensive activity. And a lot of organizations don't want the negative press of not being compliant as well. I think at the moment, actually, technology is moving quicker than compliance can, and certainly quicker than the assurance of data and AI as well. Certainly within sustainability, we see that proving compliance is often quite a challenge. And obviously, as the data comes from different kind of non-standard environments, it makes it very difficult to validate its integrity and source. And all of those things are more AI, more accessible access to technology, greater skills, greater adoption of all of these things provides wonderful opportunity, but there is a need to be very cautious, and I guess probably follow some individual organizational values in anticipation of kind of government legislation, governments being put in place farther down the track. But I guess it's essentially better to do the right thing rather than kind of push the boundaries and regret it later. So I think certainly people process will have a much greater weight and dependency as we go forward, and we have much more value and risk exposure as well.
Awesome. I think very well said. Government policies are now recognizing the impact of AI, its influence on common people, and hence how the compliance will come into picture with data becoming the centerpiece. I think that's pretty well said. So taking that cue from Robert, Abhijit, Targetorate, your company too works for a lot of global clients in IT, tech space, helping them grow. So what's your view of the trend with respect to helping these new age IT technology companies grow globally?
Yes, I think AI continues to occupy the central stage, and I think Robert brought in a very interesting perspective about being very careful and cautious about how AI is leveraged within your own organization. I think almost touching the scheme of the latest franchisee of Mission Impossible, where AI is the primary problem there. So while that exists, I think on the other side we know that there is a phenomenal applications of AI, across almost from a social dating websites to very serious businesses where AI has a huge impact. So having said that, right, based on the experience that we have working with clients, I'll probably tell a few things which can probably help the audience as well. One is the alignment of sales and marketing. I think extremely important function. Smaller organizations have cracked that easily. Larger organizations have complex structures. So it makes no sense for your sales focusing on X and your marketing efforts going on Y. So very important to align and bring in the common goals, the priorities, targeting, positioning, messaging, all aligned across. The second thing which we see, which becomes increasingly important in this world of jargon, is that can you productize your services? Can you have a very clear, easily understandable definition of what your service is? It's very important in the digital world for the reason that when a sales is on ground talking to customer, you have more time. But in a digital world, the attention span of customer is very less. So you need to develop that consistent understanding and definition of your service, which is most closely relating to the resonating with the pain area of customer. So very important to have an outward facing, easily understandable, very clear definition of what your service is, so that the process of selling becomes easier in this digital world. You're not face to face with customers. You have limitations. You don't understand the sensitivities. You don't get to see the body language. You don't get those soft signals, etc. The third thing, which is going to pick up more and more with this agentic AI coming in play, is SaaS, spelled the other way around, which is service as a software. So it's all about offering your service to a client as against a product. SaaS traditionally is a product. It's a product offered, a software as a service. It's a product offered as a service. This is actually a service offered as sort of software back to the customers by leveraging the power of software, mostly AI and automation. I think that's going to catch up more and more, and those companies who are able to adapt and leverage that will be able to serve their customers better and offer better services to the customer. And last and not least, perhaps, is in the world of marketing, when we use so much of automation, AI, and start bombarding the market and our target audience with so much of communication, it's important to know where do you start based on what your maturity is. I think it's more important to know where do you stop, because the marketing tools and automations make the job very sophisticated, but sometimes it can actually become very overwhelming for the audience, and in the process, if we miss catching this the or ignoring or neglecting the repel signals, not the intent signals, then I think that defeats the entire purpose of branding and marketing and actually results in negative results instead of positive. So in a way, we bring automation to reduce manual effort. We still have to apply human minds to break the automation at the right intervals and make sure that we stop where it is time to stop in this world. So I think that's another balance which is very important for all of us as both marketers and consumers to realize that it's not just the data privacy part, but it is also the part that are you overdoing marketing. That's where I think I would like to leave that as a comment from myself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think the 4 key points which you brought, in terms of alignment of sales and marketing team efforts, they should work in harmony, support each other, all right? And also, how do you productize your services? Very important and interesting aspect in the current digital world. And the third about the agentic AI, which is becoming very prominent and turning around the SaaS as service as a software. Very interesting point. And more so with AI around that, right? And finally, bring the human angle. Where do we start and stop? Because there's lots of technology, tools, marketing, etc. happening. So I think that's been phenomenal, in terms of the topics, length and breadth of topics which we could cover today in our webinar, global vision, local convergence, and how do we bridge go-to-market and IT strategies for market success, both with the global and local relevance. I think, in my opinion, this has been a very interesting conversation with both of you. And now I think it's time to open the floor for some questions if we have. We'll keep our mics unmuted just so that we have. So there's a first question. I think, Abhijit, I'll bring it to you because it has account-based marketing. So you described the need to balance precision-driven ABM, account-based marketing, against volume-driven ICP outreach. So what specific metrics or decision criteria do you use, to determine how to allocate budget and resources between these 2 approaches to maximize overall marketing ROI? That's the question. You're on mute, Habib, if you're talking.
Okay, sorry. I think that's a very interesting question. It's very, very contextualized based on the business that you are in and the stage of maturity you are in. For instance, if you are at an early stage of maturity into your business and you are a relatively newer brand, for something which is already a commodity business, so that the whole strategy changes, then I think the element of being very precise reduces a little bit for the fact that you want to create awareness and reach about your product. So the whole metrics are going to be more driven towards the reach and the awareness, the impressions, etc. But on the other side, if you are into a very niche business and your product and services are very niche, then obviously there's a need to be very precise in terms of what you are marketing. And if you are at a stage where you are talking about a product which is existing in the market, you're not introducing a new concept which does not involve a consultative selling, then I think reach again plays a little more larger role, just that it has to be highly precise, it has to be the right target, and it has to be with the right messaging. So again, the metrics that we measure will more be related to the elements that I have highlighted. The last scenario could be that you are very niche in a market which is very, very targeted, and you are introducing a concept that does not exist, or that's going to go through a bit of consultative selling through the whole digital sales journey. Then I think there's going to be more investment once again on highly targeted audience and actually going through the entire customer journey from awareness to advocacy, so let the customers know what this is about, etc. So there are all the three different metrics that you got to measure: the digital metrics, the performance metrics, and the business metrics. But then what weightage do you give to what metrics at what stage of your business depends upon the type of business that you're owning. So there's a whole framework that we have built around that. I'll be very happy to share that offline when time comes.
Awesome metrics, digital metrics, business metrics, performance metrics. Fantastic. That's great. Next question. Robert's question is coming to you. New Zealand's cloud first multi-cloud environment offers both agility and reach, but complex data sovereignty requirements are there. So what best practices do you recommend for architecting integrations that enable rapid global go-to-market while ensuring compliance and regional data governance?
That's really interesting. I think it always, first principle is know what you have, and therefore data architecture and aligning data architecture with operational reporting and operational process is really, really important. It gives, because at least if you know the architecture, the sources of the data, its characteristics and uses, then you can overlay that with business process and have a very good understanding, at least as to what compliance obligations will each of those data components have. And that then, for as long as that's then understood in the first place, it actually allows you to start changing your process in order to meet compliance requirements going forward as well. So I guess it's the know what you have and know how you use it, and have that documented and standardized. And actually the word standardized, now they use it, is very important. Standard reporting models, standard architecture models, obviously gives transferability of that information and also scalability too. It allows you to assign different people to do the same jobs over time without kind of exposing yourself to different definitions and different interpretations over time as well. So I guess the architectural practice and good process understanding would be a phenomenal first step to take.
Awesome. So standardization and then transferability and scalability. I think that's very well said, Robert.
Yep.
One more question is coming to you, Robert, again. So, Robert, you mentioned that technology, especially AI, is evolving faster than compliance frameworks. and that public sector use case already impose strict limitations on automated decision making. How should organization proactively design their people, process, and governance structure today to manage AI-driven data collection and usage responsibly, anticipating tighter future regulation? Pretty interesting question.
Yes. I think again, it's understand the data, which I guess is the data architecture, the data modeling, and make someone responsible. Have a product manager or a product be in an application or a technology manager. At the end of the day, it's interesting. It's quite amazing how having an individual responsible for these things actually drives a positive outcome. And you need to keep abreast of the rapid pace at which AI is moving, and certainly a lot of legislation is very well communicated in most countries. It doesn't change overnight. There's often public debate. There's often opportunities for organizations to comment around potential legislation. So obviously, predicting the future is very hard. It's and very risky as well. So I would probably, going back to the previous question, if you understand the data, you understand your operating models, your operating processes, then at least that allows you to know where you are, what you need to change as the legislation changes, and be proactive in that rather than reactive.
Awesome. Next question, very interesting, generic question. I don't know if you can take a step to that. The question is, as AI becomes more advanced, and which is becoming, what new skills should we focus on developing to stay effective and ensure we continue bringing unique value that AI cannot replace? So before you answer, my quick thought is, AI is not going to replace us, but the person or the people who know AI will. So with that, either Abhijit or Robert, or both of you want to answer this.
Abhijit, do you want to jump in here?
Go for it, Robert. I can add more as required, onto that one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's it's really interesting when you mention AI, everyone assumes you mean ChatGPT, and yet there are dozens, hundreds, thousands of AI products available in the market, apps available. Equally, AI is already embedded in many systems already today as well. So asking what skills you should use going forward, probably a skill would be to learn and be open to looking at different tools as a personal characteristic rather than as a technical skill, simply because the range of AI tools is huge and has different impacts on different industries and different roles, and I think predicting that it will be quite a challenge. So being open to learning is probably the biggest advantage I could suggest going forward.
Absolutely, well said.
Just to add, right? I think that's you hit the nail on the head, Robert. It's all about learn how to learn. That's the world that we are living in. It's about learning that. I think we all have to be very early adopters of AI, because the capabilities that AI is going to offer, as you said, is rightly embedded everywhere, and it's just going to increase over a period of time. Even if, for example, in the context of marketing, I can look at, let's say, creative. To a great extent, creativity can come from AI, but beyond an extent, it can't. But at each stage of your production life cycle of a very good creative, AI can be useful, right from conceptualizing a phase to a research phase to a competitive aspect to prototyping to testing it. So at different stage of your journey, you can actually leverage tools which are embedded with AI, or you can actually start building and training your AI models. But the fact remains that it is you got to drive that AI, and for you, it's very important to adopt and adapt yourself to be able to leverage the best of the AI which is available in all three levels of capacities. One is as a consumer, first learn how to use it. You don't have to build it. Second is use and leverage tools which have embedded capabilities of AI. And third is where you actually start building yourself and become a service provider of AI to third party actually. So you can actually mature through this journey of three levels of AI adoption, but it has to start from a point where you start leveraging it. I also believe that as an organization, which slightly goes beyond the scope of that question asked, but I'm just sharing it for the benefit of everybody, is you got to create an AI council which advocates within the organization how AI should be leveraged at an individual level to improve his or her own productivity, at a department level for the specific use cases, and at an organization level based on what is allowed and what is not allowed. Actually, that's it.
Awesome. That's great. All right. There's a next question coming up, for me, which is about Kiwi tech professionals wearing dual hats involved in customer experience and go-to-market execution with lean teams. So, what governance models or processes have you seen work best to support cross-functional roles without overloading individuals? Very interesting question indeed. Now, based on my experience, what I have seen is there is a huge focus on being a subject matter expert. Whatever area topic is delivered or being worked upon, they are good at it. And from a governance and the model perspective, there's a huge emphasis on training. So if any new system is getting implemented in an organization, or if there is a technology or a business transformation happening, the team involved is supposed to provide training, and the training are of two types. One is training for the executives and training for the users. So every individual in the team is supposed to be part of the training, imparting training to either the executives or to the users. So while developing the system, every individual is very conscious that they are good experts at that because they need to go and train. So I think that's one big differentiator I see. And then second, there's a good interaction across business and technology, which enables each one of them understanding their core requirements and usage of the system. So that's what I say, about the Kiwi techs wearing dual hats, business and technology. All right, the last question. I think we have just 3 minutes left. Question to you, Abhijit. First party data and privacy in AI-driven marketing. So as data privacy regulations tighten and ethical scrutiny of AI increases, how should organization build and leverage first party data pipelines to drive personalized marketing while ensuring compliance and preserving consumer trust?
Yes, that's a good one actually. So I did emphasize the need for creating your own first party data, which is going to be more and more prominent as we go forward. I think there's no golden rule for building it, but some of the best practices that we have seen being implemented are one. Uh, we have to. So what are we fundamentally referring to? We are referring to customers soliciting information from us. They are okay for us to be able to target to them, and they have given an explicit nod for us to be able to target, either because they are at an exploratory phase of the journey, or maybe they are at a stage where they want to take a decision. I think what a few best practices that we have seen help build that data is one, by providing value before you ask for business. So if you have a tool, if you have got an asset, if you have a service, if you have a product, if you have a demo or a trial, if you are able to add value to the customer, then it is more likely that the customer is in an open engagement talks with you. So that's one thing which can start building. Second is, when you design your communication with customer, if you can introduce the right interventions and call to actions which allow customer to interact back with you, then there is a willingness shown towards that actually. And based on the nature of your business, there's a whole wide range of businesses. You can actually define tactics which actually take or provide an opportunity for you to capture some information of the customer, and also implicitly take an approval for further communication. Now that is something you got to really build over a period of time, which really allows you to be able to target them. And data is perhaps one of the most valuable asset that you have in your organization, especially when it is enriched with all the additional intelligence that you need for that actually. That's how you build it.
Well, quite a few questions are coming up. Not sure if you have time, but yeah, quickly, Abhijit. There is a question asking what's the critical need to align sales and marketing around common goals? What kind of KPIs do you track to ensure it's actually driving revenue growth?
Yeah, I'll just continue on that actually. So I think the prima facie, what you got to do is have um, uh, your market and the goals aligned with sales. What I mean by this is that let's say your addressable market is 100 units and your sales is touching 10 units, let's say. Now the question is, can you divide your accounts and the addressable market into, let's say, 3 or 4 tiers? Now tier 1 could be where there's an active engagement with the client. There's very little that marketing has to do with respect to outreach apart from upselling opportunities. Now tier 2 could be those accounts where certain level of connection has been established with the clients from the sales end, but no business on the table yet. Now the way marketing should treat these accounts is going to be a little different from the other accounts. It's very important that marketing aligns with sales and understands the context of that account before an outreach communication is happening there. Third could be those accounts where there has been no traction at all. So it's a pure sort of greenfield for marketing to be able to communicate and interface with those clients through different channels, through different interventions. And fourth could be those accounts which are either more aligned to your competitors or misaligned with you for whatsoever reason. Then that's another sensitivity. And again, this is a hypothetical classification I have done. You got to do it based on your own business context. So it's very important that you align with sales with respect to that, and then define what your goals for each of these tier of addressable market you have defined. What do you want? And these goals can't just be an end goal. These goals also have to be time phased, saying that during stage 1 of your communication, what do you intend to achieve with this segment of customer, uh, this persona from that segment of customer? What is it you intend to achieve? And then map it back to the RACI matrix, a sort of responsibility matrix as to who is going to, and which department and which person is going to interact with that customer till what stage. And the handover from marketing to sales has to happen very seamlessly. So that governance model is something which will really help us align very effectively between sales. And I think sales and marketing are not just two departments. There could be commercial excellence, there could be a digital marketing, there could be offline marketing, there could be a PR agency, there could be so many different departments within each of these function. But the whole concept here is to make sure that there's a proper alignment with respect to goals, the targets, the approach, and the outcomes that we define into it. I think that helped.
All right. So I think we're already 3 minutes ahead, and I still have a couple of questions. Panel, okay to continue, or do you think we should respond them separately?
I'm okay either ways. Maybe we can also drop them an offline response if we get to know who the
Yeah, one is from
question has
Subhash.
come from.
One is from Subhash. I think we can, Abhijit, we can respond to Subhash offline. And another is anonymous attendance. So I don't know who is that. So yeah,
We can.
So yeah.
So anonymous one, if you can read that out, Santosh, maybe we can see if we can answer.
Yeah. So yeah, very quickly, it's a customer journeys get more complex. What marketing technology capabilities do you think are either overhyped or underutilized?
Overhyped. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, are either overhyped or underutilized, as part of the customer journeys.
Yeah. I think I think I'd probably think that customer journey mapping has two elements. One is your understanding of the entire business context. Now, I think this is probably underutilized in my view. A lot of times I see customer journeys being mapped, and the tool and technology that you use becomes a prima facie thing actually. So we have to define saying that, okay, this is how we want to approach this persona of audience for this segment. But I think what needs to be done very effectively, in my view, is the understanding of the context, understanding of the competition, understanding that what would a given customer or a persona be doing if they are at this stage of customer acquisition journey. So what are they looking for? If I am your buyer and I am at this stage where I am just exploring, how do I explore? Where do I explore? What do I look for? What channels, what platforms, and what sort of reports am I getting in response to my inquiry? This intelligence is extremely important for you to define your customer journey. Otherwise, customer journey just becomes a document for reference, and the reality of the marketing execution would be very different from that. So I think that business and market context understanding, and if required, do some A/B testing, do some initial research, do some pilots and proof of concepts if you don't have that data available from the market before you hit it at a big scale.
Right. So a lot of questions coming in, and I think we'll have to probably go offline and answer. But last one, Robert, we just want to do, and we'll close the session now. So Robert, it says that highlighted challenges around proving compliance because data comes from non-standard sources and its integrity is hard to validate. What architectural or the operational practices are recommended for data governance? And there are AI tools also which automate all of this. So
yeah, that's a very broad question. There isn't an answer for that because it's too broad. It depends on the business, it depends on the context, it depends on the data sources, it depends on which compliance challenges you need to look at. If anything, rather than looking at a single tool, I guess ensure that you use standards that are, I guess, tool independent or architectural framework independent or common, so that should you need to chop and change, you kind of minimizing the translation. Sorry, that's far too broad a question.
but there is small update in the question saying that specifically for the sustainability domain, is there anything specific, or again there are standard tools there, Robert, for sustainability domain as well?
Yeah, I mean, architectural patterns and operational practices for data provenance and data quality, and leverage, automate, that validate without sacrificing speed or agility. For what purpose? For what application? For what? Where's your data come from? That's actually a consulting engagement. That isn't a Q&A. Sorry, I don't mean to be difficult or dismissive. There's a whole series of different answers in there, depending on the context and the compliance requirements and the quality testing tools you have in place, etc., etc. So I guess if anything, it's go to standards wherever possible, and at least you have a framework or a baseline from which to work, would be my suggestion.
Sure. All right. I think that's been fantastic and phenomenal. So once again, thank you, Robert and Abhijit. And thanks to our global audience for tuning in. I would rather say stay tuned, and hopefully you'll have a few more subsequent sessions. And happy to answer. We are all available on LinkedIn, and feel free to approach us for any further questions. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.